Good morning. Happy Friday. Dan says something happy zero DTE day, end of the week. So, what a day yesterday. And bullish outside reversal day. Someone posted in the room yesterday that provided the dates that this happened. So, I thought, okay, big day. We've seen big days before, but the historical measurement of the day was something to be impressed about. I forget what the dates were but it didn't happen too often. It was pretty unusual, to say the least. And what had happened yesterday, you can scroll back. I mean, I thought for sure it was going to go back down at the time. I was looking at right before it exploded, and one of the reasons why I thought, okay, short covering was, besides there was some news, I believe, what was it around? Right around here. I guess we gotta move this down now, down here, or toward the middle anyway. And it was right around here. And on the 5-minute, it had broken out. It had popped up and came back in again. So it doesn't look like much of anything here on the 2-minute, but if I scroll that back, you can see it was retesting these pivots and a breakout failure, and the pivots were getting closer together. And then, buyers just stepped up at that low. I think that's when the news came out. And, it just fed on itself and went higher and higher throughout the trading day. So, shorts had to get covered because things were bearish. We spoke about this base, and then there was the gap down. And, anytime there's a gap down, there is that risk of at least try to move up toward the gap fill, the area where it gapped down from the prior day's close. So, and it just kept going. And you can see the resistance here that we spoke about, that little shelf that had built up. And it even cleared that pivot high, which was okay. Now we're getting impressive. And it's got this void up above to come up into the gap fill to see if you can get there. So where is it right now? So it came up. You can see where my cursor is. It came right up to this pivot right there, which is lined up with the declining 20 MA on the daily. So it hit that little resistance point, didn't quite get up into here and backed off. So now what we want to see is, can it, and I put the volume on here because I wanted to see the volume on the day. And while big, it's not like what you would think. So when I put it on here, I thought, wow, that should be like the biggest volume bar, like dwarfing anything, even like this one here where it broke down. And it didn't. I'm not saying that isn't bullish. I'm just thinking that I would have thought it would have been much bigger. Right? Reading what McGraw says, Gamma says slow grind up if 37 holds. Okay. 20 MA likely target. It's already there. Yeah, not for the day. Okay. All right. So McGraw is our favorite gamma gun expert. So I always read what he says. It's interesting. All right. So we see the spiders. We always look at the spiders, and, they hit the 20. Got a little above the 20, actually. As I said, came up to here. And so now we still got a little bit of a void above. We certainly got a void below. Based on the way it went up, little congestion right there. So certainly leads to what I would say a pretty good bias that prices should not break above here by any significant means, and they should not break down below here by any significant means, which means a wide trading range, which probably might last into sometime next week. So historically, now what should happen? Right? And I spoke about this the prior week or at the beginning of this week. So back here, we talked about, depending on what you look at, this bottom tail bar is erroneous. It gapped up. But if you view this from like how you look at the futures 24-hour charts, we had two big green bars up, which is bullish. Right? Two wide range bars, relatively wide range bars. And what's supposed to happen historically is the concept of creating support. And this is what we'll be looking for next week to see if this actually follows through. Because after a big day, typically it's followed by a consolidation day. Sometimes, right inside the bar, we look for it to be in the upper 50% of the bar, which would be lined up with this congestion, give or take. But what we want to see now is that consolidation, and maybe it lasts, I don't know, 3-4 days, give or take, some chop like that, and then the break higher, which should blast through this. And then we'll see, if it can get to the 50 or up near this pivot high, step by step. But the ideal historical pattern would be one in which it consolidates, in the upper half of this bar, maybe in the upper 30-40%. I'm not measuring it. Chop around, and then you buy the breakout of those highs, looking for it to go higher. So we'll see how it plays out. Clearly, obviously, what it shouldn't do is go back down to the low here and close anywhere down there, which should happen toward the end of the week, next week, right? Yes. Yeah. And that all makes sense. So what McGraw is sharing with me is, what open interest as it relates to gamma and hedging and, all interesting stuff, not to get into today or this morning, but, and so as this lines up into an options expiration, we should get a resolution to the upside based on this bar. And so we go through this systematic process of creating a bias, and then we see how it unfolds. That's the process. All right. So now let's look at the futures. And we got that big reversal bar there. I don't know why the futures put the volume over here. There's probably some setting that could put it back here. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So you can see it's right at the 20 MA. And the hourly had that push up, and it stalls there. Makes sense. Moving average. You've got this congestion right up there, which should contain the upside, give or take. And so now SPX. Today, it looks like a no-brainer, maybe even an iron condor day, I think. Okay, last I looked, 38.15, 38.20. I mean, if it could get above 3,800 today, I might lean toward the view that is the bottom, and close up there. So we'll see. I think that's... Yeah, I don't think it's possible either, Alex, but I gotta go through certain thoughts to just voice what they are, and I don't think that's possible. But if it did, I'd be like, wow, but with all the BS going on in the world and the Fed and yada yada, I don't think that's possible. So to a bear call credit spread above 3,800, I think is a no-brainer. So 38.20 was reasonable. 38.15 was pretty fat, just above 3,800 there. And then down below, 35.60, 35.65, coming down here, going down below 3,600, which is going to be that whole number and open interest. And, I'm sure there's juice at 3,800. But, I would rather go $1.30 by $1.40. It would probably hit there and back off. But if you want to go for the extra, juice there, go for it. Yeah, but there's definitely juice at 3,800. It's fat. All right, so there is where it's at. Same story, trading range. Yeah, and so on. NASDAQ. Nice reversal day, up a little bit. It hasn't reached the 20. So when we see days like this, and we see, well, one of the things we look at is relative strength and relative weakness. And so this has shown relative weakness, tech, interest rates, so on and so forth. Some consolidation, if there's some continuation rally, this is what could play some catch up. And maybe it can get to the 20. You can see the cursor there's nothing at the 20. And this is one of the reasons why we say, even though we use moving averages, they're subjective as reference points. They can become a self-fulfilling prophecy because, the majorities are looking at those on a daily time frame. But as you look to the left, there's nothing there. So you might wonder, why do prices go through moving averages at times where other times they're so consistent as a reference point? And that's why. There's just nothing to the left where the 20 MA is. So pulling in here a little bit, let's look at the Qs and the gap. So a moderate gap up, not a big deal. Not gapping into any resistance. You can see on the hourly chart, there's a little bit of cluster of bars there. Right there, a little cluster over there. So maybe a little bit of overhead resistance. Yeah, you can see it there on the 15-minute chart. Really not much. Yeah. All right. Weekly chart. We'll see where it ends the day, but talk about confusion and where it is as of right now, as of yesterday's close. Basically, impressive moves up and down, but in the end, they've done nothing for 3 weeks. So we look at the candle and it's like, oh wow, big bar, big range bar. All right, put it on a line chart and see what you come up with. So, but if you look at the weekly chart, here's the close 3 weeks ago. Here's the close last week, and we'll see where it closes today. But you can see they're all in the same area. So basically, in 3 weeks, there's been moves up, there's been down, there's been some sideways, and in the end, it's gone nowhere. Right? Give or take a few points. So putting things in perspective. Let's take a look at small caps. Right? Same big bar, right? A little better volume, but about average with these. And so as I look at the volume, I'm looking for like, wow. It's like, it's good, but it's not a wow bar. So, which would have been pretty good. English PM. Okay. I can't follow too much what's going on in the chat there, in the conversation, but anyway. So same big bar that we've seen. What did the transports do? Nice big reversal bar. So, a unified move, but overall week to week, not really going anywhere. Looking for the same, up down consolidation. This moves our bias to a continuation move higher to some point. I mentioned into options expiration, which makes a whole lot of sense. And then we see where it goes from there. And so there's the transports there. Let me see. And Bitcoin had same reversal day, came back from the edge of the cliff. Now I've got this bottoming tail bar, still within a trading range. Still got work to do. So we'll see how that plays out. Now the dollar, right, that had that reversal day, it's still in an uptrend. And you want to keep an eye on this because this is what's been moving the market. Does it continue to move down? And you see where it is right now. Where does it end the day? Does it go down? So I'm not thinking this market is out of the woods yet. But markets sometimes have reversal days, right? They don't go in a straight line. But we'll see what this does. We'll see what the what interest rates do. 5-year, right? Had this pop up right in the morning, and then it came back in. But look at the closes, going nowhere, at resistance. We'll see if this reversal day has some follow through. 10-year. same story. It's like, oh, interest rates are going up. We've talked about the weekly chart is still in an uptrend. So does it continue lower today? So we have to monitor and see what's going on. We need more information now. Silver, breaking down. This webinar I did yesterday, look, short-term interest rates going up, dollar going up. While you might get blips, or that was a nice move more than a blip. Well, that's crude oil. I meant to hit gold. I'm going to slide up there. So it doesn't happen again. This just isn't the place to be, other than if you choose to do some short-term trades. And crude, it's consolidating, had that impressive move. It looked like it was going lower. Now it doesn't. That's what stop losses are about. When it was down here, it looked like it was going much lower. So I think that's about it. I'm still doing nothing. Looked like it was going to rally there a few days ago. But, yeah, we'll see how today ends. And more or less, I think, turns out to be a bit of a consolidation day. And maybe some whips around. Other than that, we'll see what individual stocks do and where the markets end the week. For you, Dan.
Good morning. Yesterday, yeah, what an incredible day. So we put on a bunch of put spreads in the afternoon. Directional trades were harder just because of the way it blasted through there. News is still shaking their head. And you know how the news always likes to say, the newspaper, oh, the market's up because of blank. So the Wall Street Journal today said, oh, the markets were up big because they figured out the inflation data wasn't as bad as originally thought. I'm like, really? Who came up with that stupid reason? They didn't mention, I didn't see one word about, that economic person talking about soft landing and short covering, and they put in something stupid that they want the public to believe. So we have all of Pittsburgh's are doing great. Still going to have a hard time getting on board, gapping up here. I was hoping for one or two inside days, and then it would be a no-brainer target to these prior highs. But I said, this is such a bullish 15-minute close chart here, end of day base, that I said, of course, it looks higher. So I'm still bullish. Alex said, no way we can get to 380. I mean, I don't talk in absolutes in the market. Why not? Why not? Why can't I go to 380 today? I don't think it will, but that's different than saying it's impossible. It's not impossible. It's $11 higher. We did that in 15 minutes yesterday. Or I'm sorry, 15-minute bar, 45 minutes. All right, let's start with a couple of these earnings trades. Zero DTE day. The problem is with the gap up, it's going to be hard to do put spreads. So maybe we're going to have to focus on call spreads on stalled rallies. I don't know. I'm open to anything. I might like earning stocks because there's still some pumped in volatility into the premiums. So UNH 522. I don't know. Maybe 530 call spread, maybe 500 put spread. Let's come back to it. And the market's rallied a lot pre-market on, I guess, and I don't understand the ramifications of it from a macro perspective, but on this UK stuff that they've been screwing around with their pensions and the gilts and bailouts and tax things, and now they're reversing it, and then their finance guy resigned. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on over there. But why that caused that little blurb right there. I have absolutely no idea. All right, JP Morgan. Now, I really didn't know what to expect on these earnings, banks earnings, because of the big rally already. Like, so we just got to take them one by one. So it's gapping up and looks higher, but I don't know what to do with that. Uh, Same with this. It's range bound. We got beautiful double bottoms everywhere. Now this one, Morgan, could be maybe a call spread if it can't bounce, maybe 10-minute low. Because that's being a gapping down 50% into yesterday's big bar. Citigroup put spread. So this one's not as extended as some others. It's kind of a double bottom new low plus, has a big price void. So that's a put spread idea. Dan Penn Daily. If you're talking about a stock Penn, then please capitalize them. So I know you're talking about a stock. Is that's what you're talking about? It's an end of day base. It has room. New longs are going to be harder because I'm going to want them close to support with a price void. So that's a candidate. Yeah, that's a candidate. PNC. Let's see, I can just eyeball this. So that this is a very controlled third gap right now. So this would be an ideal 1, 2, 3 for Monday. So that I'm going to put in a little window and a 0 DTE put. A USB. I was going to sell puts on this yesterday, but I think it didn't have enough juice. I like selling puts on things that are just creamed into earnings. So that could be a day trade. A beautiful end of day base. It negated this little pre-market gap down. Target. That's the only problem is it's 42.20. I think target 43. FR. So there, see, eyeball it. That's gapping a little more than 50%. So that's a 0 DTE call spread candidate. Index just got a downgrade is all. Let's say this otherwise would be a good new setup. It's a beautiful retest with a gap negated and a price void. So let's come back to that. If that for some reason can get back over yesterday's high, then that would be a beautiful put spread candidate even for next week. Zim here, a bottoming pattern. Beyond got a downgrade, and I think reduce laying off some people and maybe some negative earnings stuff. But the fact that it's clawing its way back here on bad news is actually bullish. In TNX, that Gottlieb guy was on CNBC talking about his Corona stuff, so I pulled that up. And Myrna had a beautiful gap on Wednesday. This is a put spread idea. This little guy I just saw going by the ticker, and the very, very first thing I thought of when I saw this chart was this is a great example of not all gaps get filled. I mean, that's a ridiculous statement. So look at these. Look, it was in a big downtrend. So that means if I blow up this chart, there's most likely a big void over there. And then I got flat here. So that's a pro-igniting gap. Very little tail. It hasn't come anywhere near this low. That actually was a buy the last 2 days. Closing breakout on Wednesday. Retail numbers came out, big double bottom. So that's put spread idea. Transports yesterday. I saw yesterday another beautiful W bottom. These patterns are all over the place. And these are, I mean, if we get 1, 2, 3s for Monday, we're retracing here a lot pre-market. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking just tighten stops on some opens, and hopefully we get a consolidation day or 2 or 3. So play another one. Look at that. That's actually a great day trade. That's a tier 1. That looks fantastic. Look at that beautiful, just churning 15-minute chart, double bottom, closing breakout, big old price void, bullish pre-market, relative strength right now because it's not falling with the 4 horsemen pre-market. That looks pretty darn good. I wish it wasn't gapping up as much though. Now that I look at it here, it's kind of excessive. Yeah, I'll prefer a pullback. Snow is a 0 DTE candidate. I don't trust this. It came down too hard to do a 7 DTE, but Snow usually has juice. MU, two ugly gaps negated with a price void. That's a put spread idea over yesterday's high. Now let's go up this way. Here's a couple left over from our list yesterday. LPLA, just a beautiful rectangle consolidation. 1, 2, 3 on the weekly, all-time highs. That is amazing strength. Put that in the window. APO, another double bottom that sold off a little into the close as opposed to the markets, but yesterday's high should be fine. Whiskey Yankee, it's a catch-up type of trade, bottoming pattern. Yesterday's high. Adobe, we sold puts yesterday, but over yesterday's high might be a big old double bottom catch-up trade. Walgreens had earnings yesterday. It's kind of an inverse head and shoulders bottoming pattern. Dow, we sold puts, another double bottom. And I was hoping we get a 1, 2, 3, because then that would be a nice candidate for Monday. 1, 2, 3. We sold puts on Tesla yesterday. So this one's obviously not a double bottom, but it's a climb-up with a potent reversal. I was watching this every single day this week, and I said, I said you will reverse one of these days to give us a trade. I just need a potent reversal. Yesterday was the day. So that's a climb-up. We sold a put. Google, we sold. This is another double bottom, new low plus. Sold a put spread on that. That looks great. My coin, my up alarm just went off. This is a put spread candidate. We're already in it long. Well, we have a covered call actually. That's starting off very nice. That's a very nice candidate for a put. Let me check it out. Set new alarms. Tesla up alarm. Oh, our CCRN. I said sell half pre-market, 34.94. So now let's tighten the stop to here, 32.68. That was nice. All right, back to this coin. Check the put spread. Our IWM from yesterday is well, it's 60 cents. We have a nice open gain. Let's instead here, let me just manage these opens first. So IWM, Google. Tesla's doing great. All right, we have Dow. I hope it closes like this. Look at that beautiful. And cat. We got put spreads. So yeah, I think we're going to have more double bottoms and bull 1, 2, 3s galore. Yeah, remember, Alex? I bet you $500 that would hold by today. It looks like that's gonna work. This fizz, I sold mine in the strength yesterday or some, but that's still beautiful bottoming pattern. IIPR, we have a put spread looking much better today. Look at this Duolingo. This has been just a rock star of a pattern for our condor. That is beautiful. It's just, yeah, so this is a deep retracement now of the pre-market range. So that's kind of just adding to my belief that this is going to be a consolidation day. Maybe why? Yeah, I like it over the high too, because then it'll be red bar ignored. I'll set an alarm 30-20. HCA. I had Tilray dog is moving for some reason. All right, HCA we entered yesterday.